Well, hi there, I'm Noah Bradley. This is Handmade House TV, and I'm standing on the front porch of my new home. Doesn't look like much at this point, but you wait until the end of this year and you're going to be pretty impressed with what you see here on this empty lot. I would think that at this point we're probably looking at 2 or 3 weeks more before we begin the construction of the foundation. But as you can see, I've got myself a pretty level, cleared off pad here that has really allowed me to be able to see the construction of the home. And on today's episode, I really want to address to you the situation of a couple of people I've written, and they really want me to build a log cabin from beginning to end here on the site. And that the original concept was that part of the home was going to be log cabin, part of it was going to be timber frame, and of course I can't resist doing a little bit of stone work as well. But there was a bunch of considerations that came at me over the last few years, and it's been a rough couple of years for me, and I guess it has been for you as well, that really caused me to slowly think through all the particular steps and all the considerations for what kind of home goes on this particular site. And the first realization that I can share with you is that I don't know if you can see it clearly or not. Maybe I can zoom with a camera or not, but if you see up there on the other side of my car up there, there's a little field, a little cleared area up there. And that has also a very nice view of the lake. In fact, it's closer to the lake than a lot of the homes are in this little area are to the lake. So, and the county allows you to, after you build your primary residence, that you can build a second home. I think they call it a mother-in-law cottage or something. It's limited in the amount of square footage it can be. But you can build a second home on it, and that's my intention, is that I want to build a house down here that takes advantage of being close to the lake, and that I can put up now, and that will offer you guys the best bang for your buck as far as tuning in here goes. And then once I get done, once I'm living here on the property, that I will slowly build an incredible handcrafted home up there of logs and timbers and stone, and maybe make it something that I've always wanted to build but no one ever empowered me to do. Maybe a blend of early American construction techniques along with Hobbit technology, and something that really looks really cool and blends into the house. And maybe I'll live in that particular home when I get it done, or maybe I'll rent it out as an Airbnb for extra income, or and also that I'll be able to use it as more of a school zone where a lot of people want hands-on construction experience with me in building these handcrafted homes. And that would allow me to build it slow, with care, and being able to teach at the same time that I put the house together. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn the camera around, and so you're not having to look at this field. I'll give you something better to look at. I'll let you look the other direction, which is the lakeside. All right, so some of the considerations in why I chose to go with stick-built construction, standard construction techniques for this particular part of the home. And I've mentioned a couple of them before. One was the neighbors that have built the house since I purchased the piece of land, and I want to build a house that complements their home, that fits in, that kind of blends in with the neighborhood, and not something contrasting. I've done a couple of restoration on existing log cabins that are in the middle of a brick subdivision, a brick rancher subdivision, where an owner bought one of the brick ranchers, bulldozed it, and built an antique log cabin in the middle of all the brick ranchers, and it didn't look appropriate. It looked out of place. I felt sorry for the brick ranchers and for the log cabin, both, that neither one seemed to fit into it well. So that's part of my consideration. And part of it is that I really want to share with you guys an appreciation for stick-built construction, how it's done. It's critical that you know it. My first 2 homes that I built were first three homes that I built were stick-built construction before I ever got into the timber framing and log cabin work. It's just so much there, and particularly I want to share with you how to be a contractor, how to build your own home, and encompass all of the subcontractors and put it together and everything else in order to make an amazing home. So another consideration I had was that log cabins are not, you can't put a whole lot of windows in log cabins, and we've discussed this in the Handmade House Academy and in the Log Cabin Academy as well. And that is that log cabins are typically have just the right amount of windows, but they don't have they tend to be a little bit dark, and they tend to not be able to appreciate the outside, which is one of the reasons why I encourage people to build what's known as a blended house, where part of it is log cabin and part of it is something else, stick-built, stone, or timber framing, something that will allow a lot of windows, a lot of light to pour into it. And when it comes to the lake, a log cabin might look good here from log cabins look good in a lot of places in wooded zones. But you wouldn't really be able to appreciate the lake. You wouldn't be able to bring it in. In my opinion, this side of the home that faces the lake ought to have a tremendous amount of glass in order to appreciate that, in order to bring it into the house as much as possible, in order to tease you to go outside. The more time you spend out here, the better your life will be. And so that is another reason for wanting to build a stick. And yet another reason for it is cost. You cannot, there's a reason why every builder builds stick built. Just about every subdivision that you go into, they're all stick built. The reason they're not building log cabins and timber frame homes is because they cost more. The only way you can get them to cost less to be able to be comparable is if you do a lot of the work yourself, which is what I've encouraged you to do. If you build stick built, you're automatically in a lower cost, you're in a faster speed home, and there is no reason why you can't make a really attractive stick built home. And they're important skills to have, so that's another reason. There's also two other realities that are going on, and that is that in the last year or two, a lot of the homes that I have built in the past, that I've been privileged to take you guys to or share pictures of my work in the past, have been sold. That one after another, most of my clients tended to be 10 to 20 years older than me, and they're all selling their homes right now. All of them, when I built the home, they told me they would never sell the home, but now they're all selling them, and they're moving into 55 and older communities because we're aging. Look at me. Look at my first videos I created now, and you'll see where I'm aging as well. And so there is that consideration of building a home that's age appropriate, which means try to get to 1 story tall. Even though I'm not creaky and I can still go upstairs, downstairs just fine, ladder and what have you. Still, I'm not so strong that nothing bad can ever happen to me, and I particularly don't want to move into a senior community or whatever else. I'd rather stay in my own home. And so I'm kind of building a home that would be sort of appropriate for that, for as I age, as I spend my last years. This will, as my wife announced the other day, that this will be my last house that I build for us. The one that I might build up there, that would be for me. just whatever I want, my own taste and my own styles, and not be influenced. And that's another issue that's going on here, and that is that whenever you build a home, it's not just for you. It's often for your mate as well. It's sometimes you take your children into consideration. Sometimes you take your parents into consideration. Sometimes you take the resale value of the property. You want to make sure and build something that will bring a decent amount of money when it comes to sale. You'll be able to recoup your expenses and hopefully make a little bit of profit off of it as well. But also the fact that I have one of my children has expressed a great desire in having a home that's built by their dad. And I'm touched, I'm honored by that. But it seems to be that none of my children has really caught the log cabin bug. I think there's something about about being raised in a log cabin and spending all of your life in it and everything else, and going to your friends' houses and they're living in these more modern homes or whatever else, that maybe you want to experience something a little different, something a little newer or brighter. And I can appreciate that. And it just is what it is. So I'm trying to build a home that will not only meet my wife's and I's needs today, but also as the years progress forward going from now, but also for my son and his wife, for when that day comes that they take over and occupy the house themselves. So that consideration plays a part in the design as well. Well, all right, I think that wraps up my considerations for the house here. I look forward to sharing even more with you next week on Handmade House TV, and hope to see you then. So until then, you guys take care, and we'll talk to you then. Bye now.